Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. I was going to say it was the Vegas Take. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, glad you could join us on a Thursday. By the way, coming up at the bottom of the hour, Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports will be joining us. Following the breaking news, Chief Justice John Roberts has been sworn in to oversee the impeachment trial, so certainly history in the making. We'll get to all that coming up here in a little bit, but I said, next time we invite this guest on, we want to play the theme to the movie Jaws, because if you own a restaurant and you see Darcy Spears walk in with a photographer, it's not good for you. You're not getting good free publicity. It's probably not for the good reasons. Darcy does a fantastic job for ABC 13 with her Dirty Dining segments. Where should you be a little bit concerned to be going to have a meal this afternoon? Well, Darcy's here to tell us about that. Darcy, thank you so much for being here. As always, how are you?
There, I took care of the theme music for you.
That was perfect.
I'm just thinking, like, if I own a restaurant, what is my biggest fear besides being robbed? It would be Darcy Spears walking into my restaurant.
I mean, Darcy, are you starting to feel like the female version of Chris Matthews in the Vegas dining sector?
No, but Darcy.
Good heavens for that comparison.
Well, Darcy, you are doing the good work, and we appreciate what you do. So let's start. Let's get right at it. So my understanding, in this past week, there was a restaurant that you went to on Eastern and Tropicana where the bathrooms were out of order. Were these people going to the bathroom?
Well, according to the complaint that was initially filed with the health district, the employees were, and I don't know about the customers. I know that the employees themselves had to leave the restaurant and go across the parking lot to a Starbucks to use the restroom there.
It's ridiculous.
And as you can imagine, there are issues with hand washing. You have to wash your hands right after you leave the bathroom and before you come back into the kitchen. And that's kind of all part of an oversight mechanism to make sure that, because hands transmit the most bacteria,
right,
the worst thing in any kitchen is unclean hands. So, that's issue number one.
I was going to say, they should just put a sign up in the restaurant that says our employees are required to wear diapers. That's the least. That's the least they could do. Okay, so tell me what this place is called and where it's located and how they rectified the situation, so to speak.
So the restaurant is called Las Pupusas, and it is on. I know. I had to try not to laugh.
That's just way too funny.
It was. As I was voicing the story yesterday, I literally almost burst out laughing while I was tracking a line that had to do not only with the name of the restaurant, but of course followed by the fact that right outside the restaurant at the next door liquidator, there was a lineup of toilets on the sidewalk for sale. And the whole thing, it was an irony that my photographer noticed and pointed out to me right away. And he's like, I'm going to get some video.
Oh my God. That is unbelievably funny.
That's so ironic.
Unbelievably funny and disgusting at the same time. Wow, that's unbelievable. Okay, so you found a Thai original barbecue place. I believe that's what it's called. It's on Jones and Flamingo, not too far from here. And apparently the whole place was a grease trap. Explain to us into detail what that means.
Yeah, the issue at Thai Original Barbecue, and they're still shut down because of it, is apparently they were doing some construction work to deal with their grease trap and grease disposal outside, but whether there was a delay in it or who the heck knows what was going on, they had a 2-foot deep by 2-foot wide trench running through their kitchen.
Oh, God.
Covered only by plywood, which, by the way, was grease-stained and gross, with like a river of grease running through it, that it was overflowing. And the danger here, beyond the restaurant, of course, is that the grease was overflowing into the sanitary sewer. And you can't have that. So they were immediately shut down and have yet to reopen.
Ugh, that doesn't sound like a place I'll be going to today for lunch. Talk to me, we talk a lot about food trucks, and it seems like there are a lot of food truck repeat offenders. I remember you came on the show about a month or two ago, and you told me one of these food trucks, they were actually making food in a kitchen in a home. Just bizarre. And now you have another food truck repeat offender, right? They're called Kenya's Catering. They were shut down. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, Kenya's is actually a three-peat offender on
wow.
Dirty Dining. Not necessarily the same truck every time because they have a small fleet. However, obviously the ownership continues to have issues with the health code because they've been on 3 different times now. Typically, you'll see these food trucks out at construction sites. That tends to be where they station themselves. And, of course, those guys deserve to have a healthy, clean, sanitary meal. They're out there working really hard, and they often don't have time to leave the site or go very far for lunch. They look to that as a convenience, and the trucks are potentially doing them a disservice.
Ugh.
So for this one this time, they had no hot water at all on the truck. They had ham, cheese, and chorizo, which are probably 3 of the main ingredients of what they're serving, that all had to be thrown out due to unsafe temperatures.
Oh, my
There was no
God.
sanitizer whatsoever on the truck, so it's not like you can just fix that if you're out in the middle of the desert on a construction site.
No, absolutely not. Wow, that is completely disgusting. All right, I want to get to one more here. Don Chewy Mexican Grill. Am I pronouncing it Chewy?
Chewy. That's how I say it.
Okay,
yeah.
Don Chewy Mexican Grill. They got into a little bit of
just
trouble.
keep doing that, Brad.
What'd you find out?
You're going to record that and put it on a loop at some point in time.
I really, really hope not.
Chewy.
So inadequate refrigeration was the issue there. And while it doesn't sound like the sexiest violation in the world, of course, food temperatures are probably amongst the most critical issues in any kitchen. Because once the food is in the temperature danger zone, bacteria starts to grow. And it's like an instant thing. And the longer it's in the danger zone, the quicker the bacteria grows. That's why there are specific regulations, one of which goes back to Las Pupusas, which I'll get back to in a second, about how you handle food that's left out at room temperature, for example. So Don Chewy was shut down for inadequate refrigeration. Most everything in the restaurant was in the temperature danger zone. So they obviously had some malfunctioning equipment, and instead of shutting themselves down and notifying the health district because they had an imminent health hazard, they just kept right on going, and then the health district had to come in and shut them down.
Now, what if it's a situation where the equipment itself is faulty? How do you handle the demerit system with a restaurant like that?
Well, if your equipment is faulty, if your fridge breaks or whatever, it's not holding the proper temperature, you are in the midst of an imminent health hazard if you're experiencing lack of adequate refrigeration. So the rules there are you self-close, you immediately notify the health district of what's going on, and then you follow the health district's instructions as directed.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, Darcy, you always do such a wonderful job, even though some of the stuff is just disgusting. But it's an important service to know that some of these restaurants out there are not performing up to the standards that we all deserve. Can you give people a little bit of information on when this stuff airs and what time it will air and where people can find you on social media?
So we debut our Dirty Dining episodes every Wednesday night at 11 p.m. I know that's a little late for some folks, so if you don't DVR it or catch it while it airs, you can catch it again Thursday. So today, coming up in our 6:30 p.m. half hour, you'll get to watch Dirty Dining again. And then, of course, it's always available online at ktnv.com, on my Facebook page, Darcy Spears. It's posted right now. I also just tweeted out a link to it a little while ago, so you can find us in very many platforms at a time of your convenience, or make some appointment viewing and sit down and watch it on TV.
Darcy, great job as always. You do a phenomenal job over there at ABC, and we appreciate your time. We look forward to catching up with you again next week.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Yeah, thanks
there you
a lot,
go.
Darcy.
That's Darcy Spears, ABC 13 Dirty Dining. By the way, if you missed our interview with Danny Negreanu, we had a little internet connection issue here. You'll be able to check out that interview in regards to Gerard Gallant, Vegas Golden Knights superfan Danny Negreanu. We will be putting that up on our SoundCloud page in about an hour or so. So look for that if you actually missed it. All right, coming up next, one of the reasons why I might be personally responsible for a San Jose State basketball player being kicked out of a game at the Thomas & Mack Center yesterday. I'll explain exactly what happened coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.